On my son's birthday, my sister-in-law gave him a cracked tablet and blamed me for being ungrateful. She told everyone I spoiled him with my deadbeat energy. That night, my son asked why I let them treat us like dirt. I opened my laptop and said because tomorrow, I haven't felt like I belonged anywhere since my husband died. That was 4 years ago now. Hit and run on his way home from work. Driver never caught. Just a knock on the door, and a uniform telling me my life was over. My in-laws came around a little at first, mostly out of pity, I think, but it dried up fast. They made it clear they saw me as a burden. They'd tell me things like, "You should have planned better," or "He wouldn't want you to depend on handouts." As if I was ever asking for anything. My son, Elijah, was 5 when it happened. He doesn't remember much of his dad, just flashes. A deep laugh. Big hands. A blue flannel shirt. He asks me to tell stories about him all the time. I do. But it hurts. I've been raising him alone ever since. I do gig work, Instacart, DoorDash, a little cleaning on the side. It's not glamorous, but I keep the lights on and food on the table. I don't drink, I don't date, I don't party. My life is him. So when his birthday came around this year, I wanted to make it special. I saved for weeks. Got him a used Switch in good condition from Facebook Marketplace and a cake with his name on it. Invited just a few people I thought still gave a damn. Marcy, my late husband's sister, showed up like she was doing me a favor. She swept in with her fake smile, wearing heels too high for my carpet and carrying a gift-wrapped box like it was gold. My son lit up. He's too young to know better. He tore it open and gasped when he saw it was a tablet. "Thank you," he said right away. But as soon as he touched the screen, it cracked like a spiderweb. The whole thing froze up. He looked back at me, confused. Marcy tilted her head and said, "Oh wow, must have been damaged in the car." Well, maybe he's just not gentle enough for electronics. Everyone looked around awkwardly. Then she turned to them and said, "You know, it's not his fault. Kids mirror what they see. When they grow up in deadbeat energy, it sticks." She didn't look at me when she said it. She looked through me. I wanted to scream. Instead, I cleared the plates and smiled like it didn't gut me. Everyone acted like they didn't hear it. Like this was just family banter. Like I wasn't standing there in my own home being humiliated. After everyone left, I cleaned up the kitchen while Elijah sat on the couch. He didn't cry, just stared at the broken screen in his lap. Eventually, he said, "Why do you let them treat us like dirt?" I stopped. My hands were shaking. He didn't say it to be mean. He just wanted to understand why his mom, who worked every day, who loved him fiercely, let people like Marcy stomp on her like that. That's when I opened my laptop. He sat next to me, watching. I didn't even know what I was going to do yet. But I told him, because tomorrow I start changing that. I meant it. I've let them walk all over me because I didn't want more fights. I thought keeping the peace was what a good mom did. But Elijah doesn't need peace. He needs truth. He needs to see me stand up. Marcy had crossed a line. That night, I started digging. That night, after Elijah went to bed, I stayed up until 2 a.m. My laptop ran hot on my thighs while I scrolled through old emails, text threads, anything I had from the last few years. I wasn't looking for just anger. I had that already. I was looking for leverage. See, Marcy's never been the saint she pretends to be. My husband used to say she always had 2 faces, one for family, one for strangers. The stranger face was helpful, charming, successful. The family one was colder, calculating. If you ever told her no, she never forgot it. She worked at a real estate office in the nicer part of Bethlehem, made decent money, always had her nails done, always had new shoes, always had an opinion about how I was choosing poverty. But what people didn't know was she borrowed money from my husband, twice, before he died. Once to cover credit card debt, once for a business investment that never went anywhere. I still had the Venmo history. And the texts. She'd promised to pay him back within 6 months. That was 7 years ago. I never asked for it back after he passed. I figured, wrongly, that family was more important. That mistake sat heavy in my gut now. Over the next few days, I started calling around. Quietly. I talked to a former friend of Marcy's who used to babysit her kid. She'd had a falling out with Marcy over being used and not getting paid for weeks. Then I found an old neighbor who mentioned Marcy moving out suddenly a year ago, leaving behind unpaid rent and a destroyed carpet. No deposit returned. I was starting to see the picture clearly now. She looked put together, but her life was held together with duct tape and excuses. I also found something else. Marcy had recently started bragging online about flipping houses. Her posts were public. She'd share before and after pictures, tag her partners, and talk about how she hustled for every dollar. But I noticed something strange. One of the properties she claimed to have renovated? It was still listed as being owned by a man named Luis Reyes. So, I messaged him. Turned out Luis hadn't sold his property yet. He'd hired Marcy to stage it, not flip it. He was pissed when he saw the photos. She'd made it look like she owned the place. That's when it hit me. She was using listings she had temporary access to and claiming them as her own for clout. That was a line too far. Not just family betrayal, this was fraud. I didn't tell anyone yet. I needed more. Meanwhile, word had already started to spread. Somehow Marcy twisted the birthday story into me being ungrateful and bitter. A cousin texted me, saying Marcy told her I banned her from seeing Elijah and was using the kid for sympathy. I hadn't said a word to anyone. But Marcy knew how to poison the well before I even got to it. She underestimated me, though. She thought I'd stay quiet like I always had. But I was building a case, and I was going to use it. By the end of that week, I had a folder on my desktop labeled Marcy Receipts. It had screenshots, messages, tax records I found online, and a list of names who'd confirmed Marcy had either lied, borrowed, or conned them somehow. I was building something that couldn't be ignored. But then something happened I didn't expect. A letter showed up at my door. Not in the mailbox, on the welcome mat. No return address. Inside was a typed note. Whatever you think you're doing, stop. For Elijah's sake. No name. Just that. I froze when I read it. Then I reread it. Then I checked my doorbell cam. Nothing. The footage skipped, glitched, between 2:17 and 2:20 a.m. That's when the letter must have been left. It rattled me. Because only someone close would use my son's name like that. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, watching the hallway through the crack in my bedroom door, like some paranoid wreck. Elijah was safe, but I felt exposed in a way I hadn't since my husband died. The next morning, I got a call from Elijah's school. The principal said a woman had tried to drop off an extra tablet for him at the front desk, claiming to be his aunt. Said it was a peace offering. They turned her away because she wasn't on the approved pickup list. It was Marcy. Again. She was trying to get ahead of whatever she knew I was planning. Make herself look generous. Rewrite the story before I could write the truth. I didn't take the bait. I didn't react. I waited. A few days later, I got a Facebook message from Marcy's husband, Greg. We hadn't talked since the funeral. He mostly stayed out of family messes. But this message was different. Hey, I know we don't talk. But can you call me? I think something's going on with Marcy. I need to ask you something. I called him. He sounded exhausted. Said Marcy had been coming home late, saying she was meeting clients, but she never had paperwork. Said their bank account was constantly drained, but she always had new clothes. And last week, he found a burner phone in her glove box. He also said she'd recently told him I was stalking her. I nearly dropped the phone. She was setting me up, telling her husband I was unstable, spinning this narrative behind the scenes while I quietly built my case. So I sent Greg some of what I had, just enough to make him think twice. The Venmo receipts, the fake house listing, a text where she called her own kid a liability during a work call. He went quiet for a second. Then he said, "She told me you lived off food stamps." I laughed hard. I do sometimes, I told him, because I work 3 jobs and don't have time to play pretend for Instagram. He apologized. said he didn't know what to believe anymore. But he believed me now. It wasn't just about revenge anymore. This was about stopping someone dangerous. Someone who used family as cover, who tore down others to look clean. She was unraveling. And I was going to be the one to pull the last thread. After that call with Greg, everything changed. He didn't sound angry. He sounded relieved. Like part of him had known for a long time that something wasn't right with Marcy, but he'd been too scared to face it. Too comfortable, maybe. She handled all the finances, he said. He worked construction long shifts. Trusted her to manage the bills, their son's school paperwork, even their taxes. Now he didn't know what was real anymore. I think she's hiding money, he said. I just don't know where. That's when I realized my revenge wasn't going to be some dramatic confrontation in a living room. It had to be smarter than that. Bigger. I started printing. I took my folder, the screenshots, messages, property records, all of it, and sorted it into sections. One copy for me. One for the Real Estate Licensing Board in Pennsylvania. One for the IRS tip line. And one I never planned to send unless I had to. I made sure every detail was dated and backed up. I even saved the video clip of the doorbell cam glitch, just in case someone tried to erase what had already started. Meanwhile, Marcy kept posting like nothing was wrong. Fake quotes about family loyalty over pictures of her sipping wine on someone else's deck. I noticed something in one photo. A document left out on the table by mistake. Looked like a loan agreement. Her reflection was in the sliding door behind it. She wasn't alone. I reversed the image, zoomed, and enhanced. It was a guy I'd never seen before. Too young to be a client. Too comfortable to be a stranger. Affair? Maybe. Maybe that's why she was suddenly trying to control the family narrative so hard. Why she left that note at my door. She needed to keep the illusion intact. If I said too much, someone might connect the dots faster than she could cover them. Greg called me again a few nights later. She changed all the bank passwords, he said. After I confronted her about the photo you showed me. I'm locked out of everything. I told him to stay calm. That's what people like Marcy wanted. Chaos. If we kept our heads down, followed the truth, she wouldn't see it coming. That weekend, Elijah had another school event. I brought cupcakes. I smiled. I sat in the back. Marcy didn't show, but her friend Christina did. She walked over like she had something to say, then stopped, like she was checking if anyone was watching. She told me you were stealing from her, Christina said quietly. I blinked. She said you hacked her accounts, that you were mentally unstable since the funeral, she went on. But after that birthday thing, I started thinking maybe she was lying. I nodded. She's scared. She should be. Christina looked at me and asked, Are you going to ruin her? I looked down at Elijah across the gym, laughing with his classmates. No, I said. She ruined herself. I'm just turning on the lights. It took me 3 more weeks to put everything in place. I waited, watching Marcy post as if nothing was unraveling behind her. Greg stopped sleeping at the house. He moved in with a coworker and started divorce paperwork. He didn't tell Marcy yet. He wanted to wait until she was served. Smart man. I scheduled 3 mailings for the same day, one to the Pennsylvania Real Estate Commission, one to the IRS Fraud Division, and one to her brokerage's compliance department. Inside each envelope was the same file, proof of misrepresentation, photos of staged homes falsely claimed as flipped, screenshots of her bragging about closing deals she didn't have a license to close, and quotes she charged illegally as an unlicensed contractor. Each one had a different angle. The IRS got the Venmo records, money moving through personal accounts for consulting, none of it reported. Her brokerage got the screenshots of her lying to clients about ownership. And the state board got the photos and testimony from homeowners she scammed into giving her access. I signed them anonymously, but I made sure every page was labeled and dated. Then I waited. It didn't take long. 1 week later, Greg texted me. She's been suspended from work. They pulled her listings. Then the real fallout began. She tried to go online and control the story, posted a long rant about jealous relatives and toxic people trying to tear down strong women. But no one bought it. Not after Christina came forward. Not after another client shared her story online about Marcy promising a renovation that never happened and pocketing a $4,000 deposit. Her brokerage quietly deleted her profile. Her flip partners distanced themselves. Clients stopped responding. Even her friend group thinned out. Then Greg hit her with divorce papers, served at a Panera where she was meeting someone new. I only know that because the process server laughed when he emailed me the signed receipt. And me? I stayed quiet. I didn't gloat. I didn't message her. I didn't show up anywhere I wasn't supposed to be. But I did sit down with Elijah one night about a month later and showed him what standing up can look like. I didn't tell him everything, just enough. Enough for him to know that silence doesn't always mean weakness. That some battles aren't loud. They're patient, strategic. You didn't yell at her, he said. You didn't fight her. No, I said. I let her fight herself. Marcy lost her job. Her license was put under review. Greg got full custody in the divorce. He had proof she'd tried to leave their kid alone to chase leads on weekends. And once word spread, she couldn't even land another real estate gig in the Lehigh Valley. Her name was radioactive. Last I heard, she moved in with her cousin outside reading, selling diet shakes on Instagram. No friends left. No career. No audience. That cracked tablet? Still in my closet. A reminder. You don't get to call someone a deadbeat while living off lies. Not in my house. Not ever again.